Welcome into this segment of Behind the Pen presented by mostvaluablepodcast.com. If you want to listen to the full podcast, go to blogtalkradio.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Also, we're on iTunes, so check us out there as well. Thank you all for listening as always, and enjoy the show. All right, guys, if you're still listening to blogtalkradio.com/mostvaluablepodcast, this is Behind the Pen, and we appreciate you sticking around for the entire thing. I hope I've entertained you to this point. I'm going to move on now to my next topic, and your favorite topic, I know it is, fans, and that's the Chicago Bears. God, talking about the Bears again. I talk about the Bears a lot. And if you're on YouTube, what's up, guys? Drop a like down below if you could. I really appreciate it. And tell me how much of an idiot I am in the comments. It's cool. It's cool. I see it. I see it. I see you guys. But let's talk about the Chicago Bears and the state of Chicago Bears right now. 3-11, made a reaction video after the Packers game where they lost 30-27. Some hot topics here, right? I guess in the Chicago Bears organization. Matt Barkley's one of them. Kyle Fuller's another. You got some inconsistencies in terms of reports relating to their defensive coordinator, their genius. Apparently, Vic Fangio might be gone after this season, and I don't really buy it. I mean, this was a report in the Tribune. Mike Mulligan, he does a really good job. He's close with the Chicago Bears. However, legitimately, if the Bears lose Vic Fangio, they are, oh man, that would just hurt so much. So much. I mean, one of the main reasons why this Bears team is relatively optimistic for, the coming seasons is because Vic Fangio has turned a lot of young defensive players, undrafted players, into legitimate caliber NFL players. And you look at it and his schemes, guys, like he's the reason why the Bears are in the top 10 in total defense. Obviously, it helps that their front seven is getting to the quarterback finally. It hasn't been that way in years. Going back to Mel Tucker, my goodness, Mel Tucker. But going back, this is one of the most productive front sevens in a long time that we've seen. We're actually seeing them sack guys. We're actually seeing linebackers and defensive linemen get into the backfield. And this is even without Eddie Goldman. This is without Jerrell Freeman and Danny Trevathan. I mean, this is impressive. We're seeing guys like Crayvon LeBlanc, Bryce Callahan stepping up and becoming guys that you can rely on. Now, Bryce Callahan's always hurt, similar to Marquise Wilson. But if Bryce Callahan can somehow just stay on the damn field, he will have a spot on this Bears team as a starter, whether it's in the nickel, whether it's a man-on-man corner. I mean, people had concerns about Callahan being that guy, but he emerged. He said, "Well, at this point, we got to see what you can do." The Bears said, and we see it as fans that Callahan's been their most consistent cover guy, solid tackler as well. Now, Crayvon LeBlanc, I was like, "Who is this? Who is this man?" I didn't know his name for 3 games of the first, however long he was on the field. I think he emerged a little bit after the first quarter of the season. I was like, who is this guy? But he's physical. He reminds me of Tim Jennings a little bit. His frame, the way he gets after, his receiver, his cover guy. But I mean, he's an undrafted free agent. And I talk about these players specifically because Ryan Pace is entering his 3rd year of the draft, and I say this a lot, and this is going to be his most important, critical, that Ryan Pace puts together a successful draft. He has to, because the progression of the Chicago Bears has kind of been halted a little bit. Obviously, we've seen it regress. John Fox. And another thing, too, I'm sorry I keep digressing here, but I mentioned John Fox. And what I've been reading, and I listen to guys close to the industry, like the Chicago Bears, and they know what they're talking about, and I'm just relaying what they're saying. It's not me pretending like I have an inside track, and I don't like to pretend that I know what I'm talking about. I just want to make that clear. I talk about stuff that I am confident in talking about. And when I say this, you gotta take me seriously here, because what I'm hearing and what I'm listening to and what I'm reading, John Fox is not liked within Hallis Hall. And I think that's been the start. It's been the start. That's how it's been for him. He came into Chicago and really wasn't interested in making friends in the building. And pretty much Ryan Pace is a first-year GM, And John Fox, this, 30 plus experience type NFL head coach in the NFL. Maybe he's not 30 plus, you know what I mean? But John Fox says, I got this. Take a back seat, son. I will take care of everything. We don't see Ryan Pace ever at all. He doesn't explain to us the current state of Chicago. He doesn't explain the current state of thinking. And John Fox doesn't either. John Fox gives us garbage all the time about whatever. Talk about injuries. You talk about the Vic Fangio reports. You talk about the outside consultant reports. He's like, nah, don't worry about it. It's nothing. Of course it's nothing to you. What are you going to say? Like, it's just frustrating. Really, the most frustrating part of it for me is I want to know what's going on with these guys who are hurt and what's going on and why they are always hurt. But, I mean, what are you going to do in terms of guys are going to get hurt? That happens. But tell us. Explain to us what's going on. He doesn't do that. I feel like we're always talking to a brick wall with this guy. And he's most likely going to be back. I mentioned on one of my previous Bears videos that he signed a 3-year deal. I was wrong. You can call me out on it. It's fine. I was wrong. He signed a 4-year deal. So he's entering his 3rd season next year. And I guess there's really no rumblings within the industry that he will be fired. So I'm assuming he's going to be back. Ryan Pace will be back as well. But Ryan Pace has an opportunity now. And if the Bears manage to lose their next 2 games, and even if they don't, they win one, or even, hell, they win both. I doubt it. But if they do, they're going to still be in the top 10 of the draft. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for the Bears to take a guy, maybe like Jonathan Allen. That's a game changer. That's somebody that you need to take a jump on. Can you rely on Ryan Pace in this draft? You're going to have to, obviously. Now, I'm a little bit critical, on Ryan Pace. I am. I'm going to be honest. But this is it for him. This is huge. And this Bears progression, you talk about really the state and if they're going to be good anytime soon, they could be. They could be. Now, I'm not going to go out on a limb like I did last year and say, this Bears team's going to go 10-6. I saw so much positivity last year for me to say, 10-6. And I had my reasons, guys. Before you bash me on that prediction, I had my reasons. Go back and listen. You'd be like, okay, I can see where you're coming from. That's all I'm saying. You can see why I made that conclusion. I wasn't blindly saying, Bears 10-6, Bears no Super Bowl. No. I saw legitimate progression and optimism in this team going into 2016, and that a lot of it related to the confidence I had in the quarterback position. However, we all know how that turned out, and it looks like that maybe it'll be Jay Cutler's final appearance in a Bears uniform very soon. Interesting stuff. Now, let me ask you guys this. I want to throw you guys this question. Bears have the 4th pick in the draft. Okay? And the Patriots are there wanting to trade for Garoppolo, or they're willing to trade Garoppolo. If you're the Chicago Bears, do you give up a 1st-round pick and then a future pick, whatever it is, a 3rd, maybe, not in this draft, maybe next year, for Garoppolo? Because I would in a heartbeat. That automatically accelerates the time frame of you to be relevant if you get Jimmy Garoppolo. You're talking about a guy with his skill set, he would be the number 1 overall pick in the draft this year if he was still a rookie. Well, you know what I'm saying? If he was a draft pick, absolutely, that's the guy to get. Now, I know that's unfair to say because he already has NFL experience, but, in the limited amount that he's been in the game and the fact that he's been coached under Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL, and one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coach in the NFL, and Bill Belichick, you go out and make that move. You know he's got the skill. You know he's got the smarts to play the quarterback position, and suddenly you have a franchise guy. And if you want to take a playmaker in the 1st round, it's not going to be a quarterback in this draft. You're not going to get Trubisky. It's not going to happen. You're not going to take a chance on Deshaun Watson. There's too many questions. Deshaun Kaiser even. There's way too many questions there. Now, I'm not saying it's a long shot. The way the Chicago Bears franchise and the way that things have been going with the Chicago Bears, I highly doubt it. However, it's something to ponder. And if you get Garoppolo, and I'm not trying to be a meatball here, but it would totally change the direction of this franchise, and suddenly they're in the middle of being good again. Because this defense is almost already there. They just got to figure out what's going on the offensive side of the ball, and that relates to the guy making the calls on that side too, right? Like Dowell Loggins. What can you say about Dowell Loggins so far? How much confidence do you have in him? Because I don't have much, really. And this also goes back to John Fox. John Fox, before the season, says, what are you talking about? Adam Gase is going, that's fine. We got the same offensive style and the same offensive philosophy. We're going to be fine. It's the same thing. Does this look, obviously there's little tweaks here and there, but does this look like the Adam Gase offense to you? Because it doesn't to me at all. I mean, they're going downfield much more. They're really shying away from the run, like, quickly. And when you talk about an offensive coordinator, for a guy who's never done it before, and you ask him suddenly to come into the NFL, right, first-year offensive coordinator, you have to be on point with everything. Like, you have to be 3 steps ahead all the time. It's tough. I mean, so he's had good games, but I don't have the feel in Dow Loggins to be the guy that you want to rely on. And does that mean you got to fire him? Another offensive coordinator that you got to turn over? I doubt it. The conservative nature of the Chicago Bears and the way John Fox runs things, and that, because it is a John Fox run operation, he's not going anywhere. So that's what the Bears got to deal with. Now, I talk about Matt Barkley a little bit. Matt Barkley is doing well, right? I'd like to see him win a game, against a team that's, above average and not the 49ers. And I'd also like to see him manage a game when he's winning, right? I mean, what's a main reason why he's always posting these top stats? It's because they're down and he's coming. Obviously, 4-minute offense, he feels good about it. 2-minute offense, it's basic sub packages, not even sub, it's just basic packages in the defensive side, basic zone coverage. It doesn't really change much when you're in a no huddle. So that's not a knock on him. That's good that he's able to stay poised and recognize the defense. He's a smart player, smart at the quarterback position. He deserves a chance to be a starter in the NFL, whether it's the Bears or elsewhere. However, he can't be the guy that you want to rely on. There's absolutely no way. You're kidding yourselves. Matt Barkley's done some good things. He's made some NFL throws, some big throws. One that immediately comes to mind was the potential game winner to Deontay Thompson, the one he dropped on 4th down a while back, a few games ago. I forget, was that Titans game? Yeah. That was an NFL elite throw. And he's had multiple. However, he's not an NFL type franchise player that you want to start your obviously. I hope everybody can understand that. And I mean, he's okay. And don't forget about Connor Shaw, guys. Connor Shaw, people were in love with Connor Shaw in the preseason before he broke his leg. Connor Shaw's going to be here again too. Or at least I hope so. So he has a chance to beat out Barkley this offseason. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. However, Barkley's going to be a restricted free agent. So the Bears have, a slight edge here. Well, not a slight, a big time edge here. They can put a first-round pick on this guy, and you know what I mean? So I'm assuming Matt Barkley is going to be the guy, at least for now, going into next season, unless something changes. I don't think Jay Cutler is going to come back. John Fox really didn't like him from the start. I mean, he was forced to stick with him. So, and I'm not going to talk about Jay Cutler anymore. I'm sorry. Like, I get it. You guys think he sucks, which I completely disagree with. But that's fine. I'm done with that, and I'm done with it. I'm so done with it. I'm ready to move on from Jay Cutler, and I'm ready to move on from this conversation. I hope finally the Bears can make some sort of decision to solidify the quarterback position like they did with Cutler. They went out and got a guy that they believed could lead them to the promised land. He had an opportunity to do so. However, in my opinion, he was a victim of circumstance throughout his tenure in the Chicago Bears. But they went out and got a guy. Now, I hope the Bears go out and get a guy. Maybe it's Garoppolo. Maybe it's another quarterback. However, when you draft a quarterback in this draft, it better not be in the first round. And it better be someone in the middle rounds, obviously, but like someone that you actually believe can step in and develop into an NFL caliber franchise quarterback. And I don't know. Is he going to come out of this draft? It's going to be tough. Obviously, I'm not a pro draft scout, and things are going to change once the college football season's done. The combine gets going. Obviously, the combine's huge, and things are going to be. I'm going to have plenty more content on the Chicago Bears potential drafts and strategies and whatnot. You can stay tuned. Most Valuable Podcast here. We're going to be all over it this year for the draft, so be sure to stick around. But like I said, it's going to be a telling time in the Chicago Bears. There's going to be a lot of things going on this offseason that I'm looking forward to. For right now, lose the next 2 games. They got the Redskins and they got the Vikings. And given the last, however they've been playing, both those teams, Bears could win them both, especially since the Bears are actually playing hard, which is really good to see, even when they're 3-11 and bad. So, all right. Guys, thank you so much. It's already been 45 minutes. It's been it's been so fun to talk to all of you. I hope you enjoyed the entirety of this podcast. If you were listening all the way through on blogtalkradio.com/most valuable podcast, you guys are the best. You guys are the MVPs. If you're on YouTube, what's up, guys? Appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening, commenting. Drop a like if you could. Appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Most Valuable Podcast. We're on iTunes as well. Download our podcast on iTunes. Also, follow me on Twitter at Rankin906. Follow us as a whole at Most Valuable Pod. And stick around for what we have in store for you in the future. We're going to have so much more coverage, specifically once the draft gets going. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Behind the Pen. And as always, we'll see you all next time. Thank you guys for sticking around for this segment of Behind the Pen. If you want more Most Valuable Podcast content, click on the video up above, because I don't know why you wouldn't want to keep listening to our voices every day. But again, guys, thank you all for listening. We really do appreciate you.